Hi traders, hope everyone is doing great. Today is on Tuesday and we have a lot prepared for you, and we'll be looking at some of the expected news coming out today, and more so we'll be looking at uh, the Canadian inflation CPI. And so welcome guys, everyone who's joining in, welcome to this session. We look forward to having a fruitful session with you, and hopefully by end of the presentation you should have asked some questions and we'll get to look at them. So today's on a Tuesday, and ideally what we have today is not so much of fundamentals coming in, uh, but we also have now the Canadian data coming out later at 3:30 during New York session. And so what is it for us as traders, right? We really need to look at this from a macro level. The Canadian inflation has been going down. Last month, the June inflation came out lower. Guys, the number was 2.9%, came down to 2.7%. And so that means maybe the interventions by BOC are working, but more so it was more of reduced prices in food. And so what we need to look at today is the expectations over here. And so basically there's the expectation that the number will go down to 2.5%. So what does that mean? We should expect a weak Canadian dollar if the number comes out at this number. In anything 2.5% or even 2.4%. However, if the number comes out higher than 2.5%, maybe 2.6, 2.7, then we'll expect the Canadian dollar to strengthen. And so we have a lot of fundamentals coming out this week. Tomorrow we have the FOMC that will clearly give an outline. Remember, we've been expecting rate cuts from September, and so this will be what traders will be looking at. And also we are looking at the Jackson Hole Symposium that will start off on Thursday, right? So here we'll be expecting the Fed chair, Powell, to maybe outline what the expectations are based on the current conditions in the economy, right? So that is something that we should look out for as traders. Make sure that we normally say ideally, for you to be effective in trading, you need to understand the fundamental and the technical aspect of trading. So fundamentals will move the market, right? So you really need to take note of that. So we've had traders who come in, they're not aware that some news are coming out in the next maybe 1 hour, and they're caught flat-footed, right? So a good combination of fundamental analysis, technical analysis, and of course risk management will keep you in the business. So that's what basically we'll be looking at. And also maybe we can have a look at some cryptos and see there's also a dip in the in the US dollar. We've been seeing a lot of that playing out. The dollar has been weak. Why? It's because of the anticipation of rate cuts in September. So the Jackson Hole meeting will give us clues on whether the central bank will lower rates by 25 or 50% basis points in September. So this is that meeting that I've just talked about. This meeting will lay the groundwork, right? And we'll have a lot of conversation around it later. Maybe next week we'll see what the impact of this Jackson Hole Symposium will be like. So the dollar is still weak. Moving forward as we get into the news. So as we go to our charts, we'll see that we expect to see more of bullish GBP USD, Euro USD, and so on and so forth. So that's it. But there's something else I needed to look at, maybe with regards to the Canadian dollar. Maybe you can have a look at how inflation has been to have a better maybe understanding of what to expect later. So there's a trend that we will see that has emerged when it comes to the inflation. And so let's see how that plays out. So ideally, guys, shoot your questions so that we can have a look at all this in details. As we wait for the page to load. Okay, it's already here. This is the data. Look at the inflation rate in Canada. from January. So we've seen 2.9, 2.8, 2.9, 2.7, 2.9, 2.7. So now we're expecting it July, because in August what we have is the report will be based on the July inflation. So here the July inflation is expected to be at 2.5%. This is what traders are expecting. However, it all depends on the outline that will come out later. So this tells you there's a pattern where like there have been some spikes up, down, and so maybe if we look at this, maybe we could see the inflation actually shoot up, from 2 points. The expected is 2.5, maybe it goes to 2.7, and if that happens, then we should see a strengthening Canadian dollar, right? However, we expect a weak Canadian dollar, but then again, that data will be out at 3:30. So you should be ready for that. And this is what I've said: risk management is very important moving forward, right? So especially for those of us who are trading the Canadian dollar and maybe Canadian JPY, anything that has CAD, the Canadian dollar. So we've seen that the dollar has been weak, courtesy of the expectations that the rate cuts will happen in September. So that is something that the market is looking out. And then also cryptos, look at that. Cryptos have been performing pretty well. It's been like a comeback. Bitcoin is at 6804, so we can see a 2.3% increase. And I think every other crypto over here is green, right? But then again, if you look at the monthly, they are down. However, yearly, you can see how much returns. For example, so much of us focus on the Bitcoin, but look at the returns on Solana yearly, right? So that tells you how much. If look at the returns, if you had invested, let's say, 1,000,000 Kenyan shillings in context, right? Look at the returns that would have been on your investment. So these are some of the things that we need to maybe look at moving forward, and just diversify your portfolio. Yeah. So awesome. Let's go to our charts and have a look at the technicals and see how technicals are saying. What is it that as traders we expect moving forward on different major currencies, indices, and even maybe gold, silver, and see what are our expectations as traders. Remember, this is purely educational analysis, and so just take it as a guide. But at the end of the day, you're the one who's pushing those buttons, like the buys and the sells. You're the one looking at your analysis. If you feel that you don't know anything about analysis and you feel like there's some education missing, please reach out to our satellite offices. We have Kitengela, we have Thika, we have Nakuru, we have Eldoret, and even for our Kampala clients, we have the Kampala office. For those of us who are in Tanzania, we have a Swahili session. If you're a Kenyan, maybe from Mombasa, and you feel that you want to attend the Swahili sessions, please let us know via the comment section, because we have classes every day from 3 to 4 p.m. That are in Swahili, right? So that's something maybe if you're interested in that. We look forward to having you on board. So let's go to our charts and see what the markets are all about technically now that we've seen the fundamentals. Okay, so maybe this is Bitcoin. Remember the analysis that I've been looking out. The first dip was this one. We had that, and I was looking for bullish stance, and then of course we've seen now what Bitcoin is doing. But then again, I'm still bearish. In all honesty, I'm still bearish on Bitcoin. I would want to see Bitcoin hit this area and then maybe make a final decision on whether to go in. So let's go to USDCHF. Remember, like we've seen, the dollar has been weak as the anticipation builds up on whether the Fed will it's a matter of how much basis points, 25 or 50. Some are even arguing that it could hit 100. Wow. So it all depends on what will happen in September, the rate cuts, right? So let's look at USD So our expectation is that we should see a bearish USD moving into tomorrow's FOMC. And so this trend continues. Maybe the only thing that we could see is a bullish push and then a continuation of the bearish push. So I will be looking for opportunities to short. I'll be looking for opportunities to short USD. Yeah. So if you look at higher time frames, maybe let's look at the daily. If we were looking for good entry areas, maybe I would want to see maybe a push up, on USD. So maybe a test of today's high. A test of the this Asian high over here, which was the highest price during Asian session. Maybe we should see a test of this high and then a continuation of the bearish push. So ideally, I would only take sell opportunities once maybe USD gets to 86.31. That's like I think 41 pips, right? 40 pips or thereabout. So maybe from there, then that's when I would be looking for sell opportunities. So that's when I will be looking for opportunities to go short, and I will be looking at this low, the monthly low, which is the lowest price in the month, which is right here, that 84.31. So that will be the educational analysis on USDCHF. Yeah, so I would want to see a better entry up here and then go short on that. That's USDCHF. GBP USD, just like we've seen the dollar being weak, we anticipate the GBP USD to be bullish. So ideally, we've seen a certain high that has been formed, which was the high in July. So let's go back to higher time frames. So yeah, last month's high is an area of interest. However, we should also map out last year's high. Yeah, that 150. That's an area I would be interested to see GU get to, maybe by tomorrow or even by end of the week. Right, we should probably see a push to that 150, which is last year's high. Remember, these are areas where you have liquidity, right? So we want to see probably the market push to that level. If we go to this, maybe we could see some resistance at last month's high, the high of July. So that's like how many pips away? That's like 38 pips away. So we should see some bullish push to this high. Yeah, that bullish push, and then maybe after that we should see a continuation of the same, a bullish push to now last year's high. So this is a possibility. Knowing how volatile GBP USD can be, getting to that 150 could happen today or even tomorrow. But most likely tomorrow during FOMC, we could probably see this push up on GBP USD. Euro USD, what's Euro USD like? So let's go to higher time frames. So if you go to higher time frames, maybe the monthly. If we go to the monthly, then we are looking at different highs. So there's a possibility that we could map out maybe last year's high. yeah, uh, that's an area that we could be looking at as a potential area. Remember, once again, the Fed is looking at the rate cut, so that means the dollar should be weak. So that's an area that maybe we could see Euro USD get to. However, before we get to that area, we should see some retracement. So let's look at lower time frames. So a better understanding of this is going to lower time frames. Maybe we could see a bearish push to this order block over here. So where we are currently, I would want to see maybe that bearish push before a continuation of the bullish trend. Maybe that is an area of interest that I would want to see on Euro USD. Intraday, I'm looking at that short opportunity before a bullish continuation of the same. We've already looked at Bitcoin. We've seen cryptos are all green, like they're bullish. However, on my end, I'm still looking at a test of this low before going in. Oh, there's an analysis that we had done last week on the UT100 Nasdaq, and so we were looking for opportunities to buy. So we can see that bullish push that played out. And so let's remove these. So if we go to higher time frames, we can see Nasdaq is staging a comeback, and so we're still looking for those bullish pushes. However, before the continuation of the bullish push, I would want to see UT100 tests maybe these lows, maybe test yesterday's low. I would want to see UT100 test this low, right, before a continuation of the bullish pattern that we've just seen. So a test of this low from where we are before a continuation of the bullish push to this high, which was last month's high. Yeah, so long term we're looking for a bullish UT100 or Nasdaq, right? Yeah, so that's UT100, and then Audi USD. Audi USD, let's remove these analyses that tested this low. We were looking for a test of this low before a bullish push. So let's remove these. So what are we looking at? Go to higher time frames. So we still have this high to be tested. Right, and then if we go to the daily, which was this is the yearly high so far, and that's an area we would want to see the market test. However, right now we are at some highs and we want to see some retracement, a bit of retracement before a continuation of the bullish push. So ideally, I would probably want to see a drop to maybe the moving average over here. Maybe let's go to lower time frames. Yeah, moving to the moving average over there before a continuation of the same. So if you go to H4, or let's look at the daily. So the market currently is at 67.24. I would want to see a push down to 66.94 and then a further now push up to 67.98, 6700. So maybe a bearish push and then a bullish push for around 100 pips. Okay, gold hit an all-time high, and so we are expecting that continuation as long as there's still turmoil. Remember, I've been saying this: as long as there's still turmoil, the turmoil in the Middle East persists. We expect this to continue. We expect this to continue to see gold hitting higher highs. Right, higher highs are areas where we expect gold to go to. So look for opportunities to buy gold. However, I'll be interested to see what gold does at 25.25. Yeah, 25.25 is an area we'll be looking for opportunities to short gold before a further continuation of the bullish push. So currently we are at 25.17. Price has already hit, I think, 25.23. Right, so 25.25 is an area we'll want to see gold hit before some bears come in, and then maybe later we can see a bullish push after that retracement. Okay, what about USD CAD? What are we looking at USD CAD? So last week we were really bearish on USD CAD, as we can see from this arrow. This was Tuesday last week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, today, Tuesday. So price got to our area. Look at that. This would have been a swing for someone who was looking for this opportunity, right? When we were looking for opportunities to sell. So this price level was hit yesterday, Monday, right? After that's a trade that should have held for how many days? 4 days, right? Yeah. So that's the beauty at times of trusting your analysis. Especially when the market had this drop, and then it seems like it felt like the market was coming back to test these highs. Didn't really get there, and then the bearish push played out. So if we go to higher time frames, we will see we had also mapped out 35.88 as a possible area where USD CAD could go to, right? And it was based on what? The daily. Let's look at the daily. Here it is, actually on this one. This I think was last month's low. Yeah. So this is what we were looking at. Last month's low is an area where we really want to see USD CAD come to. So remember, once again, USD CAD will be affected by the dollar and also what's happening on the Canadian. However, today intraday, before we get to that 588, let's have a look at lower time frames to have a better understanding. Ideally, I can see some moving average here that I would want to be tested first. That 606. So if we go to lower time frames, so if we go to let's remove everything actually now that this is done. So I've just looked at something on the weekly, and I've seen there's a moving average, the 50 EMA, which could act as an area of support. So we have that at 3605, and then on the daily, we've also seen another area that we could map out, which is last month's low. 3587, right? 3587. So those are potential areas. So if we go now to lower time frames, H4, we would probably want to see the market come to that 605 or that 588, and then we should ideally see some buyers stepping in support. So what does that mean? It means there's a high probability that the Canadian dollar, the news later at 3:30 could come out weak, right? It's in line probably with what? Maybe inflation of 2.5 or inflation of 2.4. Maybe. But that, once again, this is where now risk management will really come into play. So technically, what I would want to see is maybe that if I were to map out something over here based on this moving average. So M15, 3669. Maybe I would want to map out that 684, yesterday's high. And then if we go to H1, let's go to H4, sorry. So ideally, what I would want to see is the market come to that 605 and then push up to that 684. So this is the analysis I'm looking at today on Canadian dollar. So for around 68 pips, either to that 605 or even that 588. Those are two levels that I would want to see acting as support moving into CADJPY. Yeah, so that's something that we'll see. So once again, if price gets there, how do you take these trades? You make sure that you've seen a confirmation candle. Maybe you've seen a hammer. Maybe you've seen a morning star. Maybe you've seen what else? A bullish engulfing. So if you see those setups at that 605 or that 588, then that's your cue to enter a buy trade for around 80-70 pips, right? Yeah. So but ideally go for 50 as your first take profit, and the rest will just play out. So these are two areas I'm looking at. Maybe that 650 or that 660. Yeah, that's 660. Yeah, based on this moving average. So we could see price hit at 660 today, or even push to this high at 686. So those are the possible trades we are looking at on USDCAD. Silver, we were looking for opportunities to buy silver, especially we had an area of support. This was based on what? H1. So ideally, it was based, I think, on Friday's low, or what was this? Not really sure. This was last week. So look at this area we had mapped out as an area of support, that 27,206. So price came to 27.206, and you can see that bullish push. Once again, we are looking for a bullish silver moving forward. That is something that we need to see. Yeah, so silver, for someone who will be asking what's the analysis on silver, just like gold, we still anticipate silver to be bullish, right? I can see this strong bullish engulfing over here, so that tells me we still anticipate maybe a small retracement and then a continuation of the buy. Okay, that's silver. Maybe let's look at CADJPY. CADJPY, or what are we looking at? If we go to higher time frames, so we can see there's a potential area of support over here. courtesy of this order block right over here. So that's an area we would anticipate as an area of support. However, if we go to now lower time frame so that we can at least look for entries on CADJPY, I would want to see a test. So let's look at these. Maybe a test of yesterday's low will be something of interest. 10624. So I would want to see maybe this drop. Could this be in line with what we are expecting? What maybe a weak Canadian dollar, courtesy of the inflation rate. Yeah. So remember, you've seen consensus. Majority of the traders are expecting the Canadian and CPI to come out at 2.5%. So what if the number came out at 2.4%? The Canadian dollar would weaken, and that is probably, it will be now be in line with what we are anticipating here, a bearish push. Okay, that's it. Do you have questions? Maybe let's have a look at your questions and see what's your take maybe. Hello, JSquad TV. Hello, analyze USD JPY. So let's look at USD JPY. This is USD JPY. So once again, go to higher time frames to just have an understanding of where this pair is going. So I think the daily, we had mapped out an area over here. When was this? It was based on what? Interesting. So let's remove these analysis. Yeah. So we were looking at these areas and a possible area of support. So I think we're still looking for a bearish push, J squared. However, I would want to see what intraday looks like. Yeah, just like CADJPY. So it's more like, if you look at these pairs, the yen is the one that has been playing the moves over here. So sorry, that's low. I'm looking at the reason why I've mapped out this line over here. This is yesterday's low, the lowest price the previous day, right? So that's an area, that's a potential area of support. However, that more of an intraday, I'll be looking for shorts, J squared. I'll be looking at shorts on USD JPY to this price level. However, long term, I would want to see this bearish push play out to this price level. I think I would want to change this to probably here. Yeah, 135.94. That's an area of support. What's your take on HK50? Wow, the guys were doing lots of indices. So Hong Kong 50, I will have to add it. So let's have a look at this. This is something I've never analyzed before, Samuel. So it's interesting. I love your diversity. So let's have a look at it and see how it's playing out. So HK50, once again, let's try and look at higher time frames. How has it been? Okay, doesn't have a clear move over here. However, let's go to the weekly. We can see some bit of resistance on the weekly, courtesy of these order block over here. Okay. So I'm just mapping out. I'm looking at this moving average over here. 117,430. Maybe go to the daily. Okay, we can see some support. Okay, H4. So an area of support. So if I were to look for opportunities on HK50, I would really want to see maybe a bullish push. Ideally, if you look at this, this is an evening star, right? This is an evening star. So we are really bearish on HK50 technically, right? Technically, we are bearish. However, uh, we should probably see a push down and then a push up. So if I were to look for opportunities on this particular index, and 15, so found an area of support. So ideally, I would want to look at maybe a push to this price level. I'd probably want to see HK50 do this to 17,594, and then after that, probably we should see first bearish push to that level, and then second bearish push to that level, and then after that maybe we could see some bullish push. That's my take on HK50. Any other question? GBP USD, we've looked at it, right? But let's go back to it. So we need GBP USD to hit these highs, ideally. Okay, if we look at it from this chart over here, we still anticipate GBP USD to hit this high, which was last month's high. If you look at these period separators, this is July and this is August. So we should probably see GBP USD hit this high and then see a retracement, and then maybe a continuation of the bullish push, because ideally this is what we are focused on GBP USD. This high, last year's high, that 143. But first, we should probably encounter some resistance here, courtesy of last month's low. Sorry, last month's high. And then after that, we should probably now see a strong rally to the upside. So for GU, we want to see that bullish push and then a bearish push and then a bullish push, which is what we've mapped out here. You can see there's this bullish push and then maybe see some resistance, which will be more of like, seems like a minor resistance, and then we'll break up to that 153. At least that's what I'm looking at, Austin. Any other question? Okay, I think that's it. Emmanuel. Oh, Emmanuel GBP JPY. Okay, let's go to GJ, the beast. So just get into these. There's an area of resistance I had mapped out here. It seems like, look at that. It has played out. This was from the daily. If we go to the daily, what was that? Once again, we were looking for a bullish push last time. I think we have an analysis here and we can see it played out. If you look at this red arrow, because I think this is someone who had asked me this question in my previous market snapshot. So we were looking for a bullish GJ, and we can see this was Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. So this was Tuesday. So someone must have asked me this question last Tuesday. So we were looking for a bullish push to this price level. And then from there, we can see that area has held almost like a resistance, an area of resistance. So if you're looking at what the GJ, what the Japanese yen pairs are doing, we are looking at a bearish push, right? So GJ is more being moved by the yen pair. So ideally, I would be looking at, maybe let's remove this analysis because it has so much noise. So if we go to higher time frames once again to try and have a better understanding of what's happening, the weekly, what's happening. Okay, that's a small support that's playing out. So I'm mapping out this order block over here. Ideally, we should see a bearish, GJ to this level, to 170.80 long term. Yeah. However, if we're looking for intraday or even intra-week positions, what are we looking at? I'm looking at an opportunity to sell GJ. Yeah, if you look at this candle over here, this is more of like an evening star. So yeah, we should be looking for opportunities to sell. However, maybe if I will be looking at this pair, I would want to see how it reacts to this price level, this Asian high, right? So maybe a push up and then maybe a push down to this low, to yesterday's low. That would be it. Bridginda agencies, USDCHF. I think we've already looked at USDCHF, haven't we? Uh, let's go back to it. I think it was the first currency we looked at. So this was the analysis. We're looking for a short opportunity. However, I was looking for a bullish push, which is this candle that is probably, we could see a bullish push to the Asian high, which is the highest, price during today's Asian session. And then maybe from there, that's when we should see a bearish push play out. Right? And once again, we are looking at it testing this low over here. Yeah. So yeah, that's USDCHF. BN Inc. Will Apple close the 232 gap on 4-hour time frame? Let's have a look at that. Lovely. I love it when you guys have diversified. Apple. I can see a question from Apollo on COT, commitment of traders. So you go to CFTC. We'll have a look at that in a few. But that's a whole class, guys. I would want to know where Apollo you are. Let's multitasking is not my forte. Where is Apple? Once again, let's just focus on this one before I go to you, Apollo. Chat window. There's someone who's requested. I think can I go back to that question? 232 gap, huh? The 232. Let's go to this template. The 232 on H4. This gap over here. Awesome. Yeah. Seems like this is what he is saying. This is the gap I'm sure you're talking about, right? Yeah, so in trading, we know gaps will be closed. For example, this gap has been closed. This gap needs to be closed. So yeah, it's most definitely headed to that price level. Remember, we've seen Apple is about to bring out, is it iPhone 16, right? So it all depends on the rollout on the same, and maybe we could see Apple get there. Yeah, hope I've answered your question, Biani. Apollo, there was a question. Yeah, please talk of COTs. So you go to CFTC website and you should be able to see the long positions and the short positions of the institutional traders. Polo, share the link. CFTC. Let's just Google this. Home. Present. So CFTC, I'm looking for a website. Okay, I'll just have to use this one now. So CFTC COT report, here it is. So you just go to the website, the commitment of traders. So net position. So you just need to come here and see this one, the commitment of traders. So make sure that you're interested in one or which one do you really want to look at? You want to see the report on whether short and long format. Where is it? The Chicago Mercantile. So here they are. You should see now positions of different assets. So if you're looking at the euro, you should see where euro is at, right? Yeah. So you just need to go to different assets. If it's milk, you'll see how milk is performing. All these assets are here. Yeah. So CFTC is where you really need to go to. Okay. Any other question? The best pair to trade today, maybe due to volatility, you're looking at Canadian pairs. Maybe if you're looking at USDCAD or even CADJPY. Okay. Thank you for your questions. Not unless, of course, there's a question I've missed. No questions. So thank you for your time. Have a peaceful day, and there's a lot of news coming out tomorrow. Remember, we have FOMC, and of course we have the Jackson Symposium. That's something that we're looking forward to hear what Powell will be saying, because there's the expectation that we have, of course, the rate cuts in September, right? Yeah. So thank you for your time. Cheers. Bye bye.